All right. Now a couple of things. If you have a webcam or you can and you have a camera, I would need those cameras on. All right. Reason being, I'll be in class. Unfortunately, we're never going to be in person. So this is the best way that we can actually see each other, and I will actually get to talk to you guys personally, kind of face to face, as opposed to you guys just seeing my face. We can interact and we can really get this learning thing going. Yeah. So as much as possible, cameras on. If you happen to be in transit, like you're on a bus on the way home from BCC, sure, no problem. We get the camera on when you get in. But if you're in a place where it's quiet enough and lots of craziness happening behind you, 100% you can have those cameras on. All right. So let me know. Is there anyone on the call that is in a situation where the camera cannot be on? Is this today specifically, or every Thursday is going to be like that? Okay, cool. Now, in lieu of that, you can definitely also unmute your mic and talk to me. All right. That's the joy of us actually being on Zoom, right? We can talk. We don't have to be all typing. The more you interact, the more you're going to absorb the information. All right. So, with that being said, we're just going to go ahead and jump into it. So, Santia, Katrina, Jamoon, Jamoon. I'm not sure if you corrected me on that. All right, but either way, Ja. That one? Former ladder. Ladder is the last. All right, cool. Perfect. All right, so let's get into this thing. I'm missing a window. All right, just give me 1 second, trying to navigate two screens, and I'm missing something that should be here. All right, so that's that.
Good afternoon, Carrie. Skin here. I'm on my way home from work, but I'm here.
All right, perfect. The call is also being recorded. If I set it up right, by the end of the call, you guys should be able to get a summary in your email. But that's not to say that you shouldn't be taking notes. All right. Obviously, well, Carrie, since you're in transit, that'll be a little difficult to do. But for everyone else, you should be good to go.
Yes, please.
All right, perfect. All right. So apparently I closed something that I was supposed to have open. So just need to grab that. So while I am getting this thing put together, you could just go ahead and let me know um, when you decided to go on this course, right? You decided to go on this program of arts and entertainment management. What were you looking for in the end, right? Like, are you looking to manage people? You want to manage events? Ideally, you can turn on your mic for this part. All right. So you did this course, but what is the end result? What are you guys looking for? So I'll just start with who's on the top of my list. And Jamoon, that is you. So why this course? Why this program?
Good evening.
Evening.
Hi.
You heard the question?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Um, I chose the course
Mm-hmm.
because I was interested in it. I did
Okay.
mass comm before, and that
Right.
was cool. That wasn't when I was finished, I realized that that's not really what I want to do with my life. Um, I'm more like I was more interested in entertainment news, but even that had a lot of restrictions that you really couldn't be creative or showcase the creativity or your skills. I feel like this course is more up that street
Right.
where I can off my creativity. There's a couple things I want to do, but I want to be able to manage myself as well. Like I don't like even if I would like to be my own manager, so I like to manage myself.
Okay.
So I think this can help me do that. But yeah.
Okay. So you are, I guess, currently creating some kind of content. Are you a musician, singer?
When I was younger, I wanted to be a singer, but I no, I just want to be a content creator. Like I would like to create content for brands.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Sounds good. Yeah, the best. All right, no worries, Carrie. If you do have an answer to that question, you could type it in the chat. All right. Katrina, why this program?
I'm a teacher by profession and I coordinate events. I like event planning.
Okay.
So just basically doing the course so that I can be qualified.
Nice.
Mhm.
Okay, no problem.
Something that comes natural to me. So I just want to turn it into something bigger.
Right.
Mhm.
All right. So we got events, we got content creator. Um, Kimani, let me know if you heard the question. Why this program? What are you looking to get out of it?
Good evening. No, I did just always enjoy shows, like concerts and you know.
Right.
So I just want more info and more knowledge, and like I want to manage people as well,
Okay.
like performers.
Yeah.
And I actually want like more knowledge so I can actually like, help myself. But I think like the boy told me that I should get a manager instead of managing myself. So
Mhm.
I think that's actually smart as well. But I just want the knowledge generally, you know?
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. Right. Carrie already said. Michael, why this course?
This course because I basically is somewhat new to the media, like dealing with cameras and videography and editing. So
Okay.
I want to expand my knowledge and my horizon, and I just want to gain more, experience as well, and hopefully that bring me, some level of understanding in my field right now. So I'm trying to, edit stuff and, so I just need more understanding in the field and basically just work one day in a broader, you know, crowd, like myself, people like myself in the media and whatnot. So yeah.
All right. Cool. Jamal, tell to me why this program.
Oh, sorry. So again, accustomed to this to this software. Hi, good
Yeah, no,
evening.
bro. Evening.
Uh, my name is Jamal. Part of the reason why this program would be so good for me is because I'm more interested in learning the full-on business side. Majority of the things that I do within this creative sector are self-taught, and I'm very good at it.
Okay.
I've been gotten to the point where I actually get paid for doing stuff. The
Right.
point is, I try to be certified, and it'll be great if I can learn the actual ins and outs, the systems and processes that go through this particular course,
Yeah.
and even a bit of close management from people like you who are actually seasoned and at the training level. So I think it'd be a very good opportunity for me for this course, and that's just about it for the most part.
Okay. And this is self-taught in terms of
Photography, videography, everything I do creative wise, in terms of DJing, in terms
right.
of MCing, in terms of mix and master, and even recording music. Right.
Okay.
So that was over the let me see, from 14 to 26, probably what 12 years, 12 years, more or less. Point is
Yeah.
that I'm trying to say that I did a lot of creative work. It's a part of me from as young as 14, right? So getting older, you started to incorporate more, started doing more photography, started doing more videography, invested in the camera, started to do music videos, started to shoot advertisements. So I worked very close with some solar company owners and so on. So I did a lot of different things over a short span of my life so far that I think this course could kind of help round it out and put me at a management level going forward.
Nice. All right. Good stuff. Savannah, did they call on you yet? I feel like I did, but I also feel like I didn't. Hey, just checking. Did you answer the question already?
No.
Okay, so you can go ahead. I think you're the last.
Well, I really like planning and organizing stuff. I would like to learn how to manage and coordinate events and
Right.
start my own business using that career. That's why I chose this course.
All right. Okay. Awesome. So you guys are definitely in the right program for sure. Um, where I'm going to be helping is, well, the course is digital communication and design. So we're going to talk about communicating from on the digital side of things. Why? Because that's where everyone is, right? Most people are going to be existing or viewing anything from their phone, computer, or something like that, right? If you're going to be advertising, you want to be where the eyes are, and there's no better place to have eyes than online somewhere. All right, so let's get into this right here. Right. All right, so I'm going to share my screen in a second, and you can let me know when it is that you're actually seeing everything. All right, so you should be seeing my screen right now. You can give me a 4 in the chat if you're definitely
Yeah,
seeing.
we can see it. We can see this. Yeah.
All right, awesome. So, I know some people came in while I was doing my little intro, so I'll just keep this really, really brief. My name is Kurt Seal, graphic designer for the last 20 or so years, worked with brands from Rubis, BTMI, did some stuff with CPL, kind of recently, CG United, worked with a couple of artists here. So usually I think around the Christian Fields, so lyrics, John Yard, those sort of things, album covers, things that you could print, whatever. But where my passion is really right now is seeing brands develop, right? So what's going to be great as we go through this whole conversation is there's certain things that each of you want to do, whether it's focusing on the event side or focusing on the personal branding side or focusing on the artist side where you're helping build them and help them become great. So as we get into this and we start thinking, we're going to see some familiar faces just to start. All right. So we just dive right in. You guys should know this person right here, right? Right off the bat. You know this guy, DJ Puffy. Yeah. He was underrated, unknown for a while, and then did a couple things and he kind of blew up. All right. So just on your end, while we're going through this, just think about some of those things that what do you know about Puffy? Right? What comes to mind first? All right. First thing that comes to mind should be DJ. After DJ, does anything else come to mind when you think of Puffy?
Swag.
Swag. All right. Undeniable. Beijing. 100%. Well, so I'm going to take two more.
Mhm.
My list might have some surprising things.
Y'all look alike.
We do? Okay, I'll take it.
Well,
All right, one more. What else comes to mind when you think Puffy?
He's a
Oh,
entertainer basically. So he's a
Entertainer.
DJ. So yeah.
All right, cool.
Smoke.
Say that one more time.
Smoke. Puffy smoke.
Oh, okay. Got you. Got you. All right. So here's some stuff. All right. So Puffy, he was the Red Bull Music Freestyle World Champion. That's back in 2016 that he won that. That is an international thing. This being world champion means he came from Barbados and he beat everybody else in the world. Right. If you haven't seen his set, you can definitely check that out on YouTube. After that, he went ahead and did this Red Bull Culture Clash. Because of all his accomplishment, he now became one of Barbados tourism and culture ambassador. You know the drink chorus. You've probably seen it in a supermarket somewhere at some point. He's part of that, a co-owner in that business. And then he would have launched, NDA podcast. Now, everybody that I'm going to be showing you, they started off being known for one thing, but then they were able to build their brand to the point that they're able to branch off into other things. All right. This is going to be important as we go through this whole process. So when you're thinking about yourself, when you're thinking about persons that you want to manage, yes, you're going to look at what they're doing right now, what they're going to be known for, what they have skill in. But you need to be able to take them from where they are to another place, right? That's what I believe a manager should be able to do. Not just keep you where you're at and make sure that you get jobs for where you're at, but be able to elevate, expand, make you bigger, make you larger than you were before you walked through my door. All right. So next up, also from Barbados, Just J, DJ as well. I promise you, everybody on my list is not a DJ. But when I think Puffy, I feel like I need to think Just J as well. Give me some things that just three. Anybody give me three things. When you think of Just J, what comes to mind? Besides
he's
DJ.
also an artist and producer.
All right. Artist, producer. Anything else? All right. It's cool. All right. One more. Creative. All right. So Just J, he actually started off as a graphic designer. Who knew? Right? He started off as a graphic designer. Then he got into events, right? From when we had Club Extreme. If you don't know where Club Extreme is because you were born later in life, Club Extreme is on the South Coast opposite. Geez, what's that? It's not. I don't want to call it a supermarket because it's not a supermarket. The name is right there. Jeez. Anyway, there is Little Caesars in that building right now. Right. It used to be a nightclub. Now it's Little Caesars and other things. Anywho, he used to have a couple of events at that club that used to be amazing. If you have ever seen Lost in Paradise come up on your Instagram page, if you've seen Imagine Weekend come up on your Instagram page, this guy, one of the brains behind those things. All right. So again, we know him as a DJ. From being in the DJ space, he's been around events because he had to play at events. By playing at events, he saw things that he liked, saw things that he didn't like, and said, you know what? I could probably do a better job. What he did, took his creativity, implemented it into events, and now outside of music, outside of production, outside of rhythms, I like to call them neo soca rhythms because they feel like soca, but then they feel international at the same time. Like you could see international songs coming after some of his hits right now. He's been able to navigate this field in an amazing way. And while Puffy is doing products, endorsements, he is doing events. Okay. So if you see Static, he did Static in Toronto, he did Static in New York. I think he did it in the UK, but I could stand corrected. Right? He's traveling and he's doing events. right? So outside of being booked to play, he has this event space going on. All right. So just keep thinking. What you do could be the doorway into what you actually become known for. All right. We got Issa Rae. Right. You know her. Insecure, 30 and Forbes 30 under 30, all sorts of awards. She started 4 businesses. So her media group is called Hooray. We got radio. This is audio everywhere company and is a music label as well. So she co-founded this company and it focuses on supporting artists and it's involved in music publishing, supervision, and podcasts. Right. But she also has a hair care brand, Sienna Naturals. Right. She has this Prosecco brand and a bunch of other things. So these people, they are starting off in one lane, but they're growing and developing into other things, right? Because multiple streams of income is great. But being able to build a brand, build familiarity in the marketplace where people start to know, like, and trust you, you can start doing things and then people start tapping into you, not because they necessarily know the thing that you're doing next, but because they know you. So as we go through this and we are thinking about digital communication and design, whatever lane we go into, because the projects that we're going to be doing over this semester are all going to be centered around one person, right? It's going to be a hypothetical person, but everything is going to be centered around this one person. And you are going to determine who that person is, and you're going to determine the path that they follow. But then everything that you do around that, right? We're going to, as we learn more, we're going to implement more. All right. So I try to make this as practical as possible. So if you want to use you as your hypothetical person, cool. That's not a problem with me. All right. But I will put some parameters on it. So that, let's say you're a DJ right now. I don't want your person being a DJ because we're still in school. I want you guys to stretch your minds so that you're challenged into doing some other stuff. All right. So we got Issa Rae. We have Robin Rihanna Fenty. Now, we may know her first for vocals, right? And we may not have thought that her vocals were that great when she started, but she did get better over time. And people are literally craving her next album. She hasn't released an album in years. While she has not released music, she became a billionaire. All right. So let that sink in. Started off in music, took a pause on that, launched Fenty Beauty. Were there other beauty companies around the world? Yes, 100%. But why are people tapping in with Fenty? Why are people tapping in with Savage? Why? Her brand led that out. They love the person that Rihanna is. They love what she represents. They love her authenticity. So when she started doing other stuff, it felt right. And the whole Navy followed suit. So everything that you're putting out, everything that we are going to be creating online, all of this content is to build an audience. And we are building the audience, one, because we love what we do and we want to serve these people at the highest level. But then two, because we're serving at the highest level and this audience knows, likes, and trusts us, when we decide to give them something of ourselves, whether that is a brand, a product, an experience, they're all for it. And we all go together. And that's where we're trying to get to. All right. So one more person now. We got Kevin Hart. All right. Kevin Hart, comedian. That's what we know him for. But right now, if you call Kevin Hart a comedian, you got to be tripping. You're 100% tripping. He's not just a comedian. This guy's a mogul. All right. Mogul. Film. He's acting. He's directing. Right. He's putting other comedians on. He's a Mark Twain Prize winner for American comedy. right? He got Emmy and Grammy nominations, different business ventures. So Heartbeat Ventures. He has his podcast. He has the LOL, Laugh Out Loud network that is all part of Heartbeat Productions. So all the movies and stuff and films that he does under his umbrella. He has Heart House, which is what is Heart House? I want to say it's a healthy brand restaurant chain, plant-based is what it is. Right? Why does this make sense? He started to take fitness seriously. So as he took fitness seriously, he opened up this space. Not only that, when he was training and all of that, he also get I think tapped in with, I don't remember the underwear line, but he has that too. Right? All of these different endorsements. And they all make sense. Oh, and he has a nutrition company, right? Which is Vita Hustle. So all of these things came from his personal his life. He's living his life. He's loving certain things. And as he's enjoying them, he's raising the bar on that whole experience. Right. So you don't just need to get your client or get yourself an endorsement just for the bag. If it's close to what you are and who you are as a person and what your overall message is, then that level of authenticity is going to carry throughout all your socials. Whatever you post, people are going to not only believe that you take these vitamins, but you actually care about the stuff that goes into these vitamins, right? And that's the connection that we want to have. We don't want to disconnect. We don't want people saying, like, what? I see you got this vitamin line, but you are really unhealthy. So I'm not really seeing how I could trust this company. All right. So that's what we want to get to. And this all boils down to the creator economy. Right. This is where we're at. I believe this class is probably going to be one of the most talkative, theoretical. We're going to get into some fun and engaging things as we go, but you know what I mean, we got to set the stage first. All right, so we have the creator economy. Where man, hold on 1 second. All right, so in a nutshell, the creator economy is basically new type of business model where individuals make money by creating and sharing content directly with the audience online. All right, that's what we're going to be doing. So I want you to think of it as a person becoming their own mini media company or their own storefront without needing a big boss or huge corporations in order to get started. Right, that's what we're really going to be doing. All right, you are your own media company. So if you know at the end of the day, you want to have, you're hosting events, you want to hold events, then you're going to have to definitely communicate what is going to make your event different, right? And that's going to go beyond who the DJs are going to be. It's going to go beyond the venue, right? How can you showcase your event even though it's going to have similar music to other things that exist? How can you set that apart, right? And your story can be part of that. But we're going to get into that. So I like to use analogies often, kind of help cement ideas. So imagine that the old way of doing things was like trying to get a job at a big, famous club, right? You had to go through a long application process, maybe get a few interviews and hope that the club president liked you enough to give you a specific, predetermined role. So the creator economy is like if you could skip all that, right? You decide to start a popular group because just let's think of the context of being at BCC. You decide to start a popular study group for a tough class, right? Or a podcast about campus life, a video series about, well, you're not going to be sleeping at BCC, but if you could, right? A video series on dorm cooking hacks. You know what I mean? Like you're on campus, you got to cook your meals, but you could still create good things even though you are on a budget. So you don't need permission, right? You guys are the boss. And students who show up to your group or listen to your podcast, you can make money from it by selling your, let's say, study guides, for getting a local cafe to sponsor your podcast, or even getting people to donate because they love your content. So when we create, there's always this end result in mind. But then we're going to leverage community. We're going to leverage the other people because we're always thinking of the audience first. All right. So if we keep the example of you're in school and you are sharing with others, like, this is what it's like going through the arts and entertainment management course. You're not just going to give them a dry play by play. Yes, it's going to take some work to figure out what to say, like how to bring it across. But if you show that, okay, this is what I learned today, and you start applying it immediately. So they're following the journey of, I'm going through the process of, I don't even know how many years. Is this program 3 years or 4? If people are following your journey of going through this program, but along the way, they're seeing you implementing things that you're learning, all right, 4, dope, then that's interesting, right? I don't know what year you guys are going to start doing legal stuff, right? Contracts. But how cool would it be that while you're going through the process of learning about contracts, that maybe you're getting your first gig and like, okay, so I got this gig. I know I got to go through these notes, and you kind of show yourself looking at the notes and trying to type out this thing and put it together. And then the next thing that you film is, you know what? People got back to me. They agreed to my terms. Shout out to the program for helping me how to create a contract. Do you know? One, you're going to add credibility to the course. And then 2, by implementing immediately, you start to fast track your process. And if you really want to be someone that creates content, hey, you're already well on your way. All right. So there are about 5 things that we can talk about just with this creator economy standpoint. First one is engaging. In terms of engaging, this is going to be your aha moment, right? This is going to be the question of what grabs attention. So for the creator, right, which could be everyone here on the line, you realize you have a unique skill or interest. So like being really good at explaining a difficult subject, really good at hosting events. Maybe it's like house party size, because no one throws house parties anymore. Everyone's trying to get these really, really big events. But if you could get small events more often, you got potential to make money quicker. It's better on the cash flow. So just a thought that I personally had. Now, for the audience, what could their aha moment be? They could be a college student who just got into campus. They have a problem like needing to learn how to cook in a microwave, or wanting to study group for organic chemistry class. So this audience is actively looking for a solution for their problem. Okay. They're actively looking for the solution to the problem. The creator recognizes that they have a skill or interest that lines up with the problem that needs to be solved. So if we just stick on events here, or if we stick on entertainment, are there any gaps in entertainment that you've seen so far? Have you gone to events, you realize, you know what, these DJs, they feel like they talk the same. They seem to mix the same songs together. Is there a gap? If there is, are there people that are feeling what you're feeling? If there are people that are feeling what you're feeling and you see the gap, if you are able to solve that problem, immediately you have an audience. And that audience will pay for what you are offering with their attention at first, because they don't know you yet. Right. So if you start a YouTube series, if you start putting out, I don't know, people still doing mixtapes, but if you start putting out mixes, right, they may check out the mixes. Just like how Puffy would stream live and people just tap in. And because he's doing a whole stream setup, it allows persons to tip him. So a little $5 here, $10 here, it adds up. You're able to take that, flip that into an event, right? All of a sudden you have some traction and something that can start to get moving. So that's engage. That's the first thing. Second is explore. So this is where you really start to experiment. For the creator, you don't know what you're doing, but you start trying things. You film your first video. You know what I mean? The lighting is bad. The audio is horrible, but you put it out there anyway, right? You post it to see if anyone watches. This is what we call building in public. Most people don't do this, right? Most people don't do this. And musicians, they don't really do this. But if you follow Kevin Hart, if you follow Dave Chappelle, comedians, they build in public all the time. Before they go on tour, like a big national arena tour, they do stand up at comedy houses, right? Open mics. As big as they are, they will still show up and go on stage with random people, testing material. If the people think it's funny, they keep it. If the people don't laugh, they trash it. And then guess what? They replace it and come back again and try some more material. When that one or two jokes starts turning into 10 minutes of consistent laughter, you got something. You got something. Then you can take that and turn that into a YouTube video. You put that up there. You start running ads on that. People start to see that you're funny. Why? You put in the work. Same thing for if it was an event, right? Every event doesn't need to be so big that it requires sponsors. I said earlier, what if you did house parties? Let's say you had a pretty decent backyard. You could hold like 20 people. I don't know. Maybe, just maybe. You saw the gap in the market. You started to create the mixes. You started to go live on Instagram, YouTube, wherever it is. 5 people like you. You invite the 5 people. You know what? I'm doing this thing in my house. We could do this live. We could have a nice vibe, little drinks. Maybe you don't want them at your house at night. So they're in the house. They're in the backyard. You know what I mean? Mid-afternoon into evening. Just like 3 hours. And then y'all get up on my place. Right? Would that be worth it? You start with 5. And what you're working on is you are trying to perfect a set that 5 people can enjoy. So you turn your 1 or 2 mixes into a 10-minute set. That 10-minute set turns into 20. Y'all see where I'm going with this. So for the audience, the same audience, under this whole exploration standpoint, you find a few videos or blogs or anything like that. The audience, they're looking, trying to find these microwavable recipes, right? These persons on island, they're trying to find some sort of event that feels different to what they've seen before. Have you guys remember seeing those silent parties? You ever saw any videos of these silent parties where there are 4 DJs, everyone has headphones on, and the colors on the headphones change, right? So if you walk in the room, you have no headphones, you can't hear anything. But you have people in a room listening to 4 different DJs, and they're all having time of their life. I could be listening to hip hop, Kamani is listening to dancehall, and Shanti is listening to some R&B. Same place, same time, but it's different. How often does that happen on island? Not very. Will people remember it? Probably. That's what I'm saying, right? You find a gap, fill the market. And the visual of seeing a party where everyone is having a good time listening to what they want to listen to, but you can't hear anything. It's like a real trippy situation, right? So explore. So you could talk to your client. You can explore with the concept of what you're doing with the event, right? Breakfast parties. Barbados, if it's a breakfast party, is going to be in a garden. That's the formula. Breakfast party, garden. It's not a bad formula. It's been working. Can it change? Maybe, right? But who's going to be the first? You don't need to try it with 1,000 people. That'd be a bad idea. You could try it with 10. Try it with 10 people 10 times, right? That's 1,000. But what you're looking for is to make it amazing for those 10 and then build from there. All right. So that's exploration. The next way you're going to be looking at this is to explain, right? This is where the structure and the real business starts to form. So for the creator, right? For the creator, you look at the videos that you did well, right? And the ones that didn't do well. If this was the same thing with the DJ and the music, you look at the mixes that you did that performed well. You look at the reactions that you get from the 5 people that came to your house parties, and then the reactions that the songs that flopped, like people just was on their phone. They were not feeling it. It was just not working out. You notice what people like, all right? And you may also notice that people like clear, easy to follow instructions, right? This is also dependent on the type of content you're putting out. So you start to plan your content more, right? You create a system, you create a new recipe, right? So that every Tuesday or maybe 2 Tuesdays in a month, you drop a mix, right? Because you sat down and you look to see what was working. So you know, like, all right, if I'm doing hip hop, I need to take hip hop and mix it with, I don't know, rock. I don't know. Just saying, right? So you take the time to really drill down and see what needs to be fixed. So you begin to understand what your audience wants and how to deliver it consistently. So if it's an event and you're starting with 10 people and you have the music playing, maybe you had a big food and you realize people ain't eating any food. So you cut it down to finger food and drinks. They're drinking the drinks, and out to the 5 finger foods, they're eating 2. So you get rid of the other finger foods, you kept the 2, and you up the drinks. And then you realize they didn't really want the big milk drinks. They want to be nice. They want to chill. They want to hang out. They want little handheld situations, right? So they want shandies and beers and whatever else. So you know, right, where for your audience, this is what they're after. And you give that to them. So from the audience, still in this explanation situation, if we take the situation of being in college and you're creating these easy to follow how to cook a meal in a microwave videos, right? You're making sure the audience that what they're watching, it starts to make sense. All right. The person that they are watching is giving them a clear plan. If you want to make Alfredo in a microwave, you need to do step A, B, C, D. Done. You have Alfredo. So for the persons that are looking for the type of event that you have to offer, when you are communicating, when you're casting vision, right? When you are on IG Live talking about this thing before it happens, you need to be clear. You're going to be like, listen, if you guys like these mixes, next month, I'll be hosting an event. I'm only taking 10 people. The first 10 people to comment, I'll be there in the chat. You guys on the guest list. I'll see you guys next month. What's going to be happening, right? You paint the picture. You tell them exactly what's going to be happening. And then the difficult part is you deliver what it was that you described, right? Because as a creator, you did the homework and you know what to do. The audience, you know that they like the music, but you don't know if they're going to like an event. So you got to connect those dots. And that's number 3. Number 4, we got to evaluate. Sorry, we got to elaborate, right? We got to elaborate before we evaluate. So this is where you expand and grow. So now the community is starting to grow. People are asking for more. Listen, I know you guys have heard about supply and demand, right? I know you heard that before. It doesn't make sense that you scale quicker than there is demand for it. If you got 10 people and you have 20 people in your waiting list, now's the time to expand. If you invite in 20 people and for only 5 people on your stream, you might want to cut that list. Maybe. I just saying it might be a good idea. So now that people are asking for it, you can start to sell products. What's the first product you can sell? You're the DJ and you are hosting the event. One thing you could do, you can sell the mix. Sell the mix. Van Men do it all the time. Dubs in Barbados. We still got dubs. Do we call them dubs? Anyway, you have a party coming up. You have a promo CD. That promo CD is going to be played in a van before the event. And you want the promo CD. Same situation. You can create a digital product. Now, let's say you crack the code on micro events, right? Follow me. You crack the code on micro events. How did you crack the code? You were building in public. You started with the mix, started to go live. You got 10 people to come to your house and hang out. The venue was free. See backyard. Venue was free, right? You did some light decor. You kept it moving. You did this 10 times. Let's say you had 70% attendance, whatever. Would you call that success? I don't know, right? We work out those parameters. But let's say that when you did those backyard parties that you tend to have, out of 10 people, you tend to have 7 or 8. But then you got people on the waiting list as well. You kind of crack the code. So you could literally decide, you know what? I will teach other people how to host 10-person parties. You got a whole workshop. Hey, you want to host 10-person parties? Check me. Right? Now you are selling a system. You just turned into that guy that took McDonald's to millions of dollars. I don't remember his name right now. Right? Now you're selling a system. You don't just host parties anymore. You sell the blueprint. Right? And what that blueprint is going to do for you is give you more capital. What happens when you have more money coming in and a successful system happening? A system that people want to purchase, a system that is duplicating all over Barbados, a system that you can take it from Barbados and drop it in Trinidad, drop it in Antigua, and it still works. Come on now. If you're doing a workshop on Zoom like this, you can make money from this a lot faster than holding the event. But you can also scale up the event because you have more income coming in. So now, one, you're making money from your mixes. You're making money from the event. You're making money by telling people how to throw the event that you've been successful with. You got 3 streams of income right there. Your brand is starting to build, right? Because people are starting to know, like, and trust you. So that's going to be critical. So the more that they're seeing you online doing what? Communicating what you have to offer, right? When they see you communicating that more often, they want to tap in too. They either want to come or they want to learn. Either way, they're paying for their attention or they're going to pay for the product. And this is where you start to move things to the next level, right? You're able to grow from the next level. So that was elaborate. And then finally, evaluate, right? This is how both sides know it's working, right? This is how the creators know that it's working. This is how the audience knows that it's working. So from the creator, you're going to look at your numbers. How many people bought the course? How many people are coming out to the events that you personally aren't hosting, but the events that are being hosted by the system that you develop? What does the turnout look like over there? Is it as good? If you can separate yourself from the product, that is a boss move. You're now a CEO, right? Before you were kind of self-employed, solopreneur. But if you can separate yourself from the daily workings of the business, you can scale so much faster. It's crazy. And then you could travel. You could start dropping 10 people parties all over the world. But anywho, so how many people are buying? How many people are listening to the mixes all the way through? Maybe you're on Spotify. You could check the numbers there. What are the comments and the feedback saying? Hey, where can I get this mix? Who is this person? Right? Because you're still a DJ. Remember, you still making music. Maybe you're collaborating with other artists. Why? You have developed a formula like how DJ Khaled is in every video saying ad libs like Kurt Franklin, but with a little more money, right? He's just saying another one, and then let the artists come in and do their thing. Khaled said that the artist that he put together, he's thinking about the artist that he put on one song as if he was mixing songs in the club. Like I want to hear Movado, Cartel, Shabba. I want to hear all of them. Not Shabba, Buju. I want to hear them coming one after the other on the same rhythm. If that's a logical thing, like why not put them on one song? Why not do that? And he's been doing that for years, right? Pretty successful with it. So you start to grow out your creator economy by doing those 5 things. You engage, you explore, you explain, you elaborate. I really should have slides for each of these things. I apologize. I will get those slides to you, but it's all in my notes here. All right. So you explore, explain, elaborate, evaluate. And that's how we're really going to get started within this whole situation. All right. So we're coming up to 6. We are going to take a break. But before we do that, let me start sharing here. Do you have any questions? I know I said a lot of words just now.
My only question was going to be if this was available for us to look back at, but you just said it, so I don't have any other questions.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll get that. I get that to you. It's going to be like a PDF. You do have the audio. Now, how I would love to do it is I'll be able to edit this video and put in these slides so that it's in there in the recording, right? Explore. Hold on. I'll tell you again. So the first one is engage, explore, explain, elaborate, evaluate. All right. Those are the 5. So this is really, that when you watch a movie and it's kind of like starting in the middle of the show, and then we go back to the beginning, and then we watch the whole show and we get to the end. That's kind of where we started. We just started right here in the middle. Because at the end of the day, when you get this information, so this is like your 3rd, maybe your 4th year, you're out in the well, or you're applying it right now. Big picture, you want to be doing these 5 things.
I have a question as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah, 100%.
Somebody easier using.
Yep.
I'm wondering if they could be used or other terms are in the system. Sorry, other terms inside the field that they're being used under, such as like scaling. When you say expand, you're talking about scaling the business. And then in terms of explore, you're doing like market research and so on.
Yeah,
I don't
100%.
want okay, just making sure you don't overlap, right? And
Yeah.
that they are what they all right. No problem.
Yes. So if
Sir,
from yes, please.
sorry, Dion asked you to call her, or
Beyond.
yeah,
Okay.
call her.
Okay. Dion's asking me to call her.
No, Dion is asking
No, it's
for
Jamal. Yeah,
Jamal
Jamal.
to call her.
Yeah, Jamal called Dion.
All
Yeah.
right. No worries. Um, yeah. So if one thing I would say for sure, right? When you guys are taking notes for my class, I want you to take the notes how it makes sense to you. All right, because you're the one that has to remember, right? I'm not gonna necessarily hold you to the way I or the words that I use. Like I mentioned the 5 E's. Yes, let's say it's on the exam like that, then you probably have to answer what the 5 E's are. But how I do my exams is I will ask the same question in a bunch of different ways. So if in the explanation for elaborate, right? So I said elaborate, but you heard, you know what I mean, scale, grow, expand. Then cool. You explain it like that. That's completely fine. I will say this. My exam tends to be the easiest thing ever, right? It's very, very easy. It's multiple choice. I got pictures in there. I got draw a line from this to the other thing. It's very easy. All right, cool. All right, so from here, let's take 10 minutes and then we're going to come on back. All right, 10-minute break. I'll see you guys back here. Good. All right, class, just go ahead. You could drop back in the chat when you are back here. But I'm gonna get started regardless. All right, sweet. All right, guys are good on time. Love to see it. All right, here's what we're gonna do now. We are gonna get into what this course is gonna be like. All right, what this course is going to be like. All right, so as you can see on the screen, and if you have seen a copy of the course outline, then you should have seen this before. But this course provides students with insight, knowledge, practical skills requires for digital communication and design in contemporary arts and entertainment practice. All right, so we're going to be using hands-on delivery model. Well, as hands-on as we're going to be while on Zoom. We try to make it as experiential as possible for you. So the projects and the assignments, how the classes go, will give you opportunities to practice what we've been doing as we go along the way, right? We're looking at constant compounding as we go. So when we're thinking assessment, this is how you're going to be assessing. Out of 100% coursework, 75% is going to be integrated personal digital portfolio. This is going to look like you are going to choose 5 assignments out of a possible 7. Each of those assignments is going to be worth 12%. All right, so 5 at 12%, that's 60. And you're going to submit those throughout the semester. And then there's going to be a final presentation of the 5, as a whole, that's going to be worth 15. All right, so let me say that again. You're going to get 5 assessments, 5 projects. They're going to be submitted throughout the semester, right? Individually. Every time you submit one, I'm going to give you feedback. I'm going to give you changes if necessary. You have the option of making the changes or not. If you choose to do the changes for the final presentation, you're then going to take those 5 things and present it as one assignment. So if we were taking the example of a lot of what we just spoke about in the last segment, let's say you were going down the lines of those 5 E's, sorry. All right. So you started off one of the assignments. Actually, when I get into the assignments, this will make more sense. Then there's going to be a written test. As you can see, the written test is 15%. 15 is a lot smaller than 75. Therefore, you could go into the exam with 75% of your grade and sleep in the exam and do this journal right here, and you still have 85% of your grade. That sounds like an A to me. Anybody excited? Anybody feel good? Anybody? Just let me know if I need to change these numbers. I can change the numbers. I can change it. Just Santia. Ciao, boy. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So if you do the coursework, then you already got to worry about the exam. I would still say do the exam. Like, don't not do the exam. But if you do the coursework, then the exam is just going to be icing on the cake. All right, cool. And 10% for a journal. Jeez, I really need to change this. One of these years, I'm going to change this because that's a lot. That's a lot of marks. 10%. That's absolutely ridiculous. And I want you to know some people do not do the journal. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So the journal, for you guys, I'm gonna change up how the journal works. But for right now, I'll tell you how it's been done. The journal has been, what did you expect from the program? What did you actually learn from the program? And how are you going to use what you learned after the program? Anybody thinks that's difficult? Anybody thinks that journal is really, really challenging? Or were you thinking, oh, a journal, I got to write something every week? Let me know what you guys were thinking.
I thought it was a weekly basis.
Right. My God, just based on my audience, I might need to adjust. I might need to reevaluate what I've been doing.
I think a weekly basis is good too as well because every week you can break what you learn and then at the end it makes it more easy to compile everything together.
Right. That sounds great. I'll sleep on it. All right. I'll
My
sleep on it.
concern would be, do you have to document every single week, or is it something where you do an overview? Because the way you brought across in the beginning, it sounded like an overview something.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I meant. Yeah.
How I've done it before, it's definitely been an overview. It's just been like, you could do the first part today. Today could have been, what did I expect coming into this program? When you know nothing, just write what you expected. Then a couple weeks in, you could say like, what did you learn during? You're like, okay, well, you know what I mean? Kind of learned this stuff. Da, 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 da. And then how are you going to use it at the end? Can't really write that until you get to the end.
Like each week when you don't have to be weekly as you said, but so far I've learned, and with all of this together, this is what I've learned.
Yeah. Y'all are the first class that give me recommendations for this thing. I'm liking you guys. You're my favorite year so far.
We appreciate you. You're cool so far as well.
All right, so I will definitely sleep on it and see what makes sense. And I absolutely do not. I record every single class and I do not. I got receipts. All right, next. Next. All right, so let's talk about these integrated projects. All right. So there are 5 out of a possible 7. So here's number 1. Number 1 is you choosing your client. All right. So your client, if you just look right here, your client is going to be a public speaker, an event planner, or a musician. All right. Public speaker, event planner, musician. So a public speaker could be a comedian, right? Event planner is an event planner. I changed it to this because a lot of you guys want to do events. But we're going to take the perspective of how we started this call, right? We had examples of people who've been building great brands and how those brands have been able to scale and become other things. So that is the North Star. That's where you want to try to get to. So you can pick one of these. I usually ask my students to get a stuffed animal. Why? The stuffed animal is going to be your client. The reason why the stuffed animal is also your client is because this stuffed animal does not need to get its hair done. This stuffed animal is not going to tell you no, but this is going to make sense when I go through the other questions, right? Cool. Also, they are stuffed animal influencers on Instagram. I just want you guys to know that. Stuffed animal influencers. Okay. Stuffed animal. Yeah. Real people would be fine, would be great. But for some of the projects, it's like photography is one of the projects, right? And if one of the projects is photography and you gotta work with an actual person, that could get problematic because like I can't take the pictures today. I gotta get my hair done. Sir, I can't submit the project because my client had to get the hair done. Like, not really my problem. You know what I mean? But if it's a stuffed animal, you just take the pictures. Now, let me show you how I grade things, right? All right. When I get to the particular projects where you might be wondering how this thing works out, I will explain it a lot better. So, project one is you're designing the game plan that introducing your client's background. So imagine you wanted your client to be Kevin Hart before he was Kevin Hart. So you will write this whole background, this whole backstory about this person. You're giving me a name, you're giving me an age, you give me some kind of backstory, like you're creating this person, right? And this person is who you're building with. So imagine that we all work. I'm the CEO of this company called Giant Hydra. Yes, I use this name every single year. CEO of this company called Giant Hydra. You guys are all junior managers, right? You're junior managers. Why? Because you now have to raise to the level of being a manager of an account all on your own. So what I'm doing is giving you guys each the opportunity to do that by giving you each a client to work with. The storyline works like this. Next year, there's going to be an event. Think BMX, think Carry Festa, right? Where at this event, between now and the event, you're going to be working with your client to elevate their brand. At this event, they have the opportunity to be on a main stage with some of the major players in the industry. So you got Gary Vaynerchuk, you got who else is popping? Let's say a Russell Branson, right? You got is it Russell? Anyway, you have major players, maybe Rihanna's on the stage. Your client has the opportunity to be on the main stage with these people, but you are going to have to convince me why I should pick your client for that role. So those are the stakes. So your projects are you're going to be you showing me one, the work you've done with the client and why they are worth my time. Make sense? All right. So we're going to start like this, right? You're going to identify a minimum of 3 characteristics of your client and their ideal audience. All right. We already went through why you would want that. All right. So 3 characteristics of your client. So those 3 characteristics could be as simple as my client is eccentric. My client likes the beach. And my client, I don't know, whatever the third thing is. Their ideal audience, 25-year-old women who are foodies and like to dance while they're cooking. Whatever. Right? You could work out all the details of your audience. And the crazy thing is you get to choose the audience. You know what I mean? So it's like you're creating the perfect storm here. You get to control just about everything. And you're going to identify your client's A type, B type, and C type goals. So A type goal, that is something that they can achieve within the next 30 days. Case in point, if we were talking about the DJ who spotted a gap in the market and they want to do the 10-party backyard house parties, their A-type goal would be record a mix, 2 mixes a month. Record 2 5-minute mixes a month. That's the A-type goal. That could be done within 30 days. Cool. So that's your A-type goal. B-type goal is going to require a little bit more work, and it's probably going to take them anywhere between 30 to 90 days to complete. So for that individual, if in 30 days they didn't mix, 90 days from now, they may be, what's the step up from that? I don't have that thought right now, right? But something that's going to take them about 90 days to do, right? C-type goal, they have faith only. They have no idea how they're going to do this, but they are believing for it. So if it's a DJ, maybe the DJ is saying, you know what? My C-type goal is I want to be Red Bull 3-style world champion. Right now, they got 5 people listening to them on Spotify or YouTube or whatever, but they want to be Red Bull 3-style world champion. If an album, 90 days, sure. If it feels, and again, when you are choosing your client, you're also choosing the phase that they're at when they come to you. All right. So everyone doesn't need to be now starting from scratch, but when they come to you, they're looking to elevate. They're looking to get to another level. All right. So maybe this musician, all right, if they're working on an album, it could be that they have been recording singles like every year. They're at least releasing one single. But now they want to get extra serious. They want to work on an album. So if in 90 days that sounds right for them, figure out what the A-type goal would be. That might be finding the producer and writing the first song. B-type is completing the album. C-type then would be what would be I need to have so much faith for this thing to happen. If they in 90 days they can complete the album, what would it take them about a year or so to do? Right? Where do they want to be long term? All right. And then we're just going to write that out. I have an example that I'm going to give you guys for how this can be done. So you don't need to worry about that. All right. So it's an example and it goes through kind of some of the things that I'm looking for, but it's really going to be centered around this idea of storytelling. Yeah. So this could be you in another life. It could be completely hypothetical. But I would definitely advise you like everything, even though this is this is an option because this is one of 7, everything really comes from this particular project. You can't get any of the other 4 done if you don't do number 1. Okay, cool. So then we got this little tip at the bottom. If the ideal audience were one person, what would they be interested in? Where would they hang out, frequent? Where would they live? You know what I mean? Demographics, psychographics, all that fun stuff. And your ideal audience doesn't necessarily have to be directly into what your client does. When I say directly into, your client could be a musician and the audience is 25-year-old women who like to dance while they are cooking. Right? These people aren't necessarily, you know what I mean? There's a certain vibe. Like, I'm sure most of you can see it. Like, there's a vibe and something that you see in your mind, and you probably hear a certain type of music. If I'm cooking, what kind of music can I possibly be dancing to? Right? It's probably not bashment soca. Probably not. Because you still want to be cooking. You don't want to end up on your head in the kitchen. But you do want to be able to be like, yes, dancing around the kitchen and spinning around in a circle and all that other fun stuff, right? So that is the vibe. Project number 1. Project number 2. I call this Stylescape, right? This is the mood board on steroids. This gets your clients buy-in with its effective visual storytelling as you work towards getting them at Leap 2020. Well, this is going to be 2026. So the event is called Leap. Okay. This is the event where they have the possibility of being on the main stage. Now, Stylescape, I give you guys a template, and all you gotta do is drop pictures in it, right? Just gotta drop pictures. The Stylescape. I want you to imagine this. So your client came to you, you had a conversation, right? You found out everything you need to know from project one. So you know all about their backstory. The Stylescape is the next step. You then sit down with your team and figure out, all right, I know what this person wants to get to, and I know who they are. Let's put together something visual to see if we're on the same page. The purpose of the Stylescape is to make sure that your client and you are on the same page. It may feel like a little trippy because you are your client in this perspective, in this scenario. But if your client, let's use the example of this musician who makes music for 25 to 30-year-old foodies who love to dance while they're in the kitchen, then the Stylescape should have images of what? Talk to me. Talk to me. I was going to tell you, but I want you guys to talk to me. Let's make it interactive. If this was your client, what do you think you would put on your Stylescape?
I might start off with some brand imaging that shows exactly how the client may be dressed, maybe some of the content that the client may be producing or releasing, sorry, to captivate their audience. That's just one of the few things I would do to start.
All right. But I want to know exactly what. Like, tell me what. You say brand imaging, but what do you think? What does that mean?
Maybe some content where the client is actually portraying the exact thing that this audience might actually be doing. So maybe some photos of them dancing while
Okay.
eating. Maybe they're doing a food review. Maybe something like that food review might actually be one of the things they actually input inside the Stylescape.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, definitely. If the audience is 25 to 30-year-old women, foodies who like to dance while they're cooking, then you definitely need pictures of people dancing, people cooking. You might need some pictures of kitchens, right? Now, I'm not going to say you need 5 pictures of each of those because at the end of the day, with these Stylescape, I should also be able to see what your client does, right? So if your client is a musician, when I look at this board, I should be able to say, okay, musician, I see a kitchen there and I see some people dancing. All right, cool. What else? All right. You can also look at these things over here. All right. Remember, everything is going to be connected. So everything you learn in one is also relevant to this situation right here. So if you're talking about the goals, if this person wants to release an album, then hey, you can have pictures of album covers. You can have the words album of the year. You can have images from, let's say, the Clips. They had a legendary rollout from Let God Sort Them Out. Right? Those are things that you can include. It doesn't have to just only be images. You can include words, textures. All right. So if your artist, for whatever reason, maybe your artist always wears a scarf and it's not a regular scarf. It's like, the Louis Vuitton texture, the little squares. So if that's a texture that's important to them, include it. Are there any colors that are important? We're going to get into colors and that sort of thing a little later. But all of these are things that are they're going to make sense, right? And this is going to come from the background that your client gives. If they say that they are born in Barbados, but their mother is, let's say Native American, you know what I mean? Mother is Native American, then hey, there should be maybe some kind of Native American imagery on your style board. It might not be big. If it's not a major part of their artistry, it doesn't have to be that big. If it is a major part, then sure. All right. Any questions on this Stylescape? No.
So in other words, this scale is actually like a brand vision board, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a brand vision board. So whether it's a person, you can have your event planner. And let's say your event planner is focusing on a specific type of event. You can have your Stylescape around that, right? But why I like Stylescape differs a bit from the vision board is it's just words at this point, but the story that you tell as you talk about it is what's really the most important thing. All right. So if your event planner wants to focus on daytime events, I don't want to see no nighttime photos on this board. All right. And you could take it from there. If they want,
Okay, appreciate it.
yeah. So and those pictures they can come from anywhere, whether it's Google. Free Pick is a website that's great for photos. And you can definitely include those. All right. Cool. And if you so say to a musician who caters to kids, I will have to photos performing to kids. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. And the photos don't have to be your client, right? This is just to set the mood. So this could be photos of kids. You can have someone performing with kids, whether you can see their face or not, doesn't matter. But yeah, that's how you would really show that. Right. And if your person is a vocalist, then you know what I mean, show me some microphones, show me someone with their mouth open, show me a singer, right? If you show me a singer, a recognizable singer, then it's easier to say, okay, is this person a singer? Right. As opposed to somebody with a podcast mic. I'm like, this person is a podcaster? I'm not sure what's going on here. Alrighty. And then the goals, right? The things that they want to achieve. So album release, we spoke on that. If they want a Grammy, put a Grammy on the Stylescape, right? Who is their audience, right? So Shantia's question is great. If you know the audience are going to be kids, then put some pictures of kids in there. All right. Cool. What? Remember, all of this is going to come from one. You do a good job on one, you don't need to think so much for two. I told you guys, this course is easy. All right, 3, photographic portfolio, right? I want you to curate 20 photos of your client. 20. Why do I say 20? I want you to try to capture these different points. Will it be difficult with a stuffed animal? Kind of. All right. It's kind of difficult because they don't have that human face. So you're not. Yes, please.
Sorry to cut you off, but I'm just generally trying to make sure I'm on the same page as everybody else. Is our client actually a stuffed animal, or this you just using it as an example?
Oh, your client is a stuffed animal.
Oh, okay.
Right. So not a doll. Just because if I leave it up to you, you guys want to get something that looks human. You want to get a doll. Everybody can show up with a doll, and everything will look the same, right?
But it's a creative, so
Pardon?
even if you give me, I'm a creative. If you give me a stuffed animal, guarantee my stuffed animal coming in,
The
a
clothes?
hat attached.
Come
There's
on.
gonna be disposable marker, some wash off marker that can create a mustache. Like there's gonna be ways to create the stuffed animal regardless. So
Come on now.
it's art.
All right. If you listen, if your client plays a guitar and they happen to be a teddy bear, like you don't have to Photoshop that. Get a piece of card and cut out a little guitar. And I'm not expecting you to have real things for everything, right? And you might believe in your heart, you know what? I want my musician to play a piano, but then there is all right. So How are you going to show this piano is my question. So then you might not do a piano, right? Because whatever, for the sake of the program, the instrument does not matter. Feel me? So even though you might want this person to be John Legend, get the person a guitar, man. I mean, guitar can be the easiest thing for you to make. And we're going to get those pictures. But when I say I want some promotional or beauty photos, right? Again, I'm going to send you some pictures. But you know, beauty pictures have a certain look to it, like magazine covers. If you're thinking Vogue or anything like that, it might be a tight headshot. I want you to zoom in on this bear or whatever it is, a giraffe, whatever. Right? You could get moody with the lights. Like, I mean, get a little moody with the lights. We got a little shadow going on one side, light on the other side, drama. Take the picture. But I will tell you this: do not, please do not put your bear or whatever on a bed and take 20 pictures going around in a circle. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. You will fail. You will fail terribly. All right. If your client, based on what they said, likes the beach and you don't show me any pictures of your client at a beach, we have problems. And like, so you listening to your client or not? Right? If in your backstory you said that they're inspired by the waves crashing on the East Coast, and you never ever took your beer to the East Coast, problems. All right. If you're there are ways around stuff, right? And I'm not I am not grading you on the super technical aspect of your photos. If you take the picture and the background not blurred out, you know what I mean? You don't know how to create bokeh in your shots, that's fine. You can take the picture with your cell phone. That's okay. You don't need a DSLR with a prime lens. All right, you don't need that. If you have it, awesome. Shout outs to you. Personality shots. Yes. Yes, I know your stuffed animal can't make faces. I'm aware. But your stuffed animal might like to eat. You might got a big bat teddy bear. So you could buy a bag of chips and put the bag on your bear's head and take the picture. I don't know. The bear was all done in the box of food. Cool. Other things that you're able to do. Let's say your bear, your client likes to travel, right? They're a lifestyle person. They really like to travel, and they like. I'm not telling you you gotta fly to Paris. Get your computer, your laptop, pull up the Eiffel Tower, and take your bear and put them in front of the computer. All right. So if there's a computer here, this is the Eiffel Tower on your screen. Get your bear and put them right here and take the picture. Travel. There you go. Now, do not take all the pictures like that. But that's fine. That's 100% fine. All right. You can think editorial for some of these pictures. They don't have to be all close ups. Some of them could be, you could use each other if you want. Can you use AI? Now, I've been seeing what's been going on with Nano Banana, right? So I've been seeing it. I've been seeing it. But remember, this is a photography project. So to some extent, I will say yes. You gotta shoot the bear, shoot the client, the background. You could work that out with some AI if you need to. All right. But we're also going to have opportunities to do some other stuff with AI. All right. So this is photography.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I think it's very important so you could gain a better assessment on the actual technical skills in photography. If you use AI, it's like cheating, or you would not necessarily feel the need to master the area of photography. So yeah, I actually appreciate that compliment.
Yeah. And because this course, like I'm aware the course doesn't have prerequisites like that. Like we didn't ask if you have access to computers and all that other fun stuff. So I try to keep it as even playing field as possible, right? So if you get as close as possible to showing some personality, giving me some stuff like beauty, like that's the tight dramatic lighting, that's fine. Their lane, the thing that they're going to be known for. So if they're a DJ, then if you need to take a book and cut two black pieces of card and put it on top of the book to make your turntables, cool, that's no problem, right? If you got some headphones and it's big enough for the headphones to fit on the beer, also fine. All right. But the point here is don't just like, I want you guys to think about the way you're approaching the shots as opposed to what is necessarily in the shots. Because here's the thing, not everyone here wants to be doing this. As a manager in this field, you're probably going to outsource. But if you can give direction, that's going to make your brand better. All right. So we're more in that space. Like if you could visualize what you want, then you'll be able to give better instruction. All right. Project number 4. This is the booth. So for the event that's happening next year at LEAP 2026, you're going to be designing your booth and you're going to give me a rationale. Now, this booth does not need to be super crazy 3D generated. I had a student that really loved playing The Sims, so she made her booth in The Sims. That was fine. She liked doing it. So use the skill. Other persons, I tell them just keep it simple. We went in Canva. We pretty much drew a big rectangle, like a floor plan. You do a big rectangle, well, a square, because you got let's say a 10 by 10 space. So you draw a big square, and then you can put a circle, a rectangle, a triangle, another rectangle. But what you're going to tell me is you're going to give me a couple pages and say, all right, I'm going to put a number by this 1. And you're going to say this circle is actually a bar stool. And then you can get a picture off the internet of what you want the actual bar stool to look like. You get what I'm saying? So you can know the layout and then give me pictures to show me what would actually be in that space, as opposed to you trying to figure out how I can get a 3D generated mock-up of this situation. No, because of where we're at right now with AI, we may be able to take your floor plan and generate something that looks cool. All right, but we're going to start with the floor plan. Because in the reality, if you have the event and you had an idea of where you want things to be, you got to sit down in the meeting with the people and say, look, I want this here, this here, this here, this here. And the thing that's here, I need it to look like this. How they make that look realistic is not your job. So I'm going to grade you on your ability to visualize your vision. All right. Now the rationale is the reason behind your decisions. That is the most important part of this particular project. So if your client is the artist whose audience, 20 to 25 to 30-year-old foodies who love to dance while they are cooking, then the booth should allow for what? Let me see if you guys can follow my train of thought here before I even say it. What you feel should be happening in this space? We got a BMX, we got a Carifesta type situation, right? So you got a booth. People could walk in and out. What do you think your booth should look like if you're that musician?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that I would want a sense of inspiration. So all the things that I associate with my brand should be there. So for example, if I'm a person who drinks a lot of wine and so on, I want to make sure that I have wine to present, to enjoy while I'm dealing with my audience. If I'm a pianist, I'll have a piano there as well. If I have a particular dress code, like it says only suits, and then I'll be wearing a suit and from my piano with my wine. And then I might even have a mood where we have like like a slight drama. If it's purple is one of my color scheme, I will have purple and white or whatever the case is. Essentially all my branding in a in one little room, as you call it, a booth.
Sure. Cool. Not everything has a template. Like the booth, there's no template for the booth. All right. That's just going to be you using your imagination. And then we can talk about it. All right. So if we were talking about a booth for that particular musician, my booth might kind of feel like a kitchen. Yes, I'm a singer. One, I want to be able to stand out in this place. Two, I want to encourage people to be dancing in their kitchen while they're cooking. All right. So I might come out in different points of time. Right. So some information I'm going to give you is that like the event runs from X time to Y time. So you in your rationale, you can say, all right, I know that the booth is going to be open for these 5 hours. 1 hour broken down into 30-minute sets. My client is going to be performing live. This artist is going to be performing live, and he's going to be inviting people to come into the kitchen and dance. Why? Because them is the people that I want. I want the people that want dance when it's singing. I make sing when you are cooking music. That's what I do. You know how there's baby making music? I make sing and dance while you are cooking music. Can you have then I might even have a fridge, and inside the fridge I have like it's not a real fridge, but I got my CDs. I got my album in a fridge. Why not? I know. I don't know. But that will be if my artist is also a foodie, right? Because you do want to strike a balance, right? Where your booth is going to say as much about your client as it also says about the audience. The audience should feel at home when they come to the booth. Alrighty. Cool. Right. So you design a booth and then you give me reasons for everything. I want to know all your decisions. So if you're telling me you got a leather sofa and you got a wooden coffee table, I want to wait. Why you got leather? I want to wait. What does this have to do with your client's brand or your client's audience? If you can tell me what it has to do with either one, fantastic. All the marks. But if you're like, but sir, I was just thinking that people could sit down and they feel comfortable if they're sitting down on leather. But like, nah, no. We don't spend money like that. Cool beans. All right. Number 5. You can do a PowerPoint deck. You can do a slide presentation. Why is this cool? Let's go back to those personal brands that we spoke about at the beginning. All right. So you have Rihanna. She's known for music, but she also has Fenty Beauty. Your client can do a PowerPoint presentation on something that they're interested in. Or it could be you, Kimani, could be doing a PowerPoint presentation, pitching your client to me, the CEO. You could do that if you wanted to. But whichever route you take, you need to have the ideal end result in mind. So we're creating this presentation for a specific purpose. The result that I want from this presentation is I want these people to buy in. I want these people to book my artists. I want these people to be aware that I'm launching a product and get to the event that I am launching the product at. Whatever the chosen result is, you're creating this PowerPoint presentation for that purpose. All right. So this could be an opportunity to show some range for your client. It's like, yes, this is the thing that they do, but they also have an interest in this, whether it is a charity, right? A faith group or something that they're into. I don't know. You can talk about anything. If they are musicians and they sing for children, maybe they also have interest in childhood education to some standpoint. So they may do graduation concerts, right? So this may be you, the manager, having a meeting with the graduation committee saying, look, this is why you should book my client for your graduation. And what's great about this, the content of the deck is completely up to you. You could literally say, you can say where you are in your timeline. I don't want you guys to feel boxed into anything. But if you choose project number 5, in your mind, you could be saying, all right, my client has already achieved their A-type goal, and they're right about to complete their B-type goal. With that in mind, you could be saying, you know what? We started out with 50 followers on YouTube, 100 followers on Instagram. 3 months down the road, we are now at 5,000. So when you're talking to this graduation committee, you could be like, look, listen, not only can my client be amazing in the moment, but we are also going to, when we come, we got a full band. We're going to give you a full experience. We started out doing these parties in my backyard with 10 people. Now we are doing these parties across the Caribbean, doing XYZ. We really like working with students and whatever. And we think we can give you a really memorable experience. That is one of the reasons why you should definitely book me, right? You could put all your receipts that you made up in your PowerPoint deck, right? But again, it's the thinking behind all your decisions. Why did you choose this evidence that you put into the deck? Right? It's not just it's for a specific reason all the time. And that is really what we're talking about here, because it's all strategy. I don't want you guys to just be doing things just for the sake of doing it. It's going to be a strategy to everything. All right. So how the deck looks, the deck could look terrible. I care less about the deck looking terrible than I do about you guys making up some mess. All right. Any questions on this PowerPoint deck?
In the case of the duration,
Yep.
is this something that is specifically only for this area? And like, for example, does it have to be 2 to 5 minutes, or are we just using that 2 to 5 minutes as an example for why or how long we client doing whatever?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this one you present to the class. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. You present to the class.
Okay, I understand now. Okay, no problem. Thanks.
Yeah. So it's an actual presentation. You put this stuff in, and you will present to us as if we were whoever you decided you need to be talking to. So if you're talking to the graduation committee, right? If that's the setup, we will pretend to be the graduation committee, right?
Okay, in other words, this PowerPoint is you doing a sales pitch to the class or to the potential clientele that you want to pay for this product, pay for this product or service, and this PowerPoint slide is just what is essentially is your PowerPoint, your sales pitch.
Yeah, it's your sales pitch. So it could
All
be
right.
your sales pitch from the perspective of the manager doing it, or if it is an educational thing, it could be your client is presenting to whatever. So let's say instead of performing, they were asked to be the keynote speaker at something, right? So they could come and they could talk about why music is a viable career, right? They could talk about how their ADHD was a benefit for them as a musician. You know what I mean? So anything like that.
Okay, I actually like that there. Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, cool. All right, so this is how we get range, right? So if you're managing someone, you want them to be able to grow, right? So based on their story, based on their background, there's going to be things that there avenues that could be explored either through the thing that they're known for or through them being themselves. Kevin Hart was really, really into fitness. That led to, I think he got Nike sponsorship, which led to, does he have sneakers? I feel like he has sneakers. Or is it Under Armour? No, Under Armour is a rock. Whatever. But you can see how the brand deal situation can happen, right? So you could create those stories from the beginning and then see how everything plays out. And this is why I say you're going to submit them individually, and then at the end, you're going to submit them as a whole, right? Because when you pick your 5, these 5 all connect, right? They all connect. They're all part of a package, which I could then grade as a whole. All right. So project number 6. This is usually fun. This is my best. This is my favorite project. All right. This is where you will be. Wow, just like that, my mouse died. All right. This is where you are going to be recording your artists performing covers or their own songs or a podcast. How this works, it has to be your voice. It is 100% your voice. But I don't care if you sound bad. Okay? So if your client is a rapper and you know you can't rap, that's okay. As long as it's your voice trying to rap, it is fine. And trying to rap for the 3 minutes is fine. All right. So you can do it covers if you want to. They don't have to be original songs. It just has to be your voice. So I don't want to be hearing Kendrick Lamar. And you know that you ain't Kendrick Lamar. All right. Is that clear? Does anyone have any questions? Pardon?
Like specifications. You don't have like any specifications for this particular project. This is a free for all. Yeah, I think that's all I want to know.
Okay. So if your client is a musician, they're going to be 3 to 5 posts. I usually tell you to use SoundCloud. Some people have had problems with SoundCloud in the past, so you could do this as Instagram Reels, right? Yes, you can create an Instagram page for your stuffed animal and be singing on Instagram as your stuffed animal. Don't worry. You don't need to tell your friends that you have it. All right. But you're going to treat this as real as possible. So this is going to mean if you create an Instagram page and when you send it to me, it says Instagram.com/1147889K, whatever, immediately you losing marks because like why your client don't got their own name for their page. Also, you need to have your name on there. You need to have a bio. You know what I mean? You need to have, maybe you could create a link in bio. It doesn't need to go anywhere, but it needs to be there, right? I should be able to see, all right, this is your client. This is who they are. And maybe this is the thing that they're promoting. All right. And if you're putting up these covers, then it could be, this is if your client has an audio thing. So if it's a podcast, then this is going to make sense for them. If they are a public speaker, right, this is going to make sense for them. If your client is a event planner, you probably don't need this, right? Because this is all about, well, unless you want to do a podcast about events, then this would make sense. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to do this project. Because remember, there's 7 projects. You only need to do 5. All right, there's 7 possible ones. You only need to do 5. Cool. So again, this is how you can show some range. If your client is an event planner, but they have a podcast where they speak to, I don't know, musicians and whatever, you could definitely do that. How this would work in the recording is I need to hear you more than I hear the other person. Right? And it's going to be your voice once again. So when you upload,
wow.
Pardon?
Oh wow.
Yeah. So if you like normally on a podcast, the host would ask a question and the other person is talking, you gotta be the person doing most of the talking. Right? So you could just always be a guest if you want to be. Or it could be a solo podcast. Where's your opinion?
So there's no third party involvement in any of these projects?
If there's no,
Third party, even second party involved aside from the
if
client?
if you want to have, let's say it's a podcast like Joe Budden podcast, and you got like 5 people on the show, I still need to hear you more than everybody else. So you could have multiple people, right? So Carrie could decide, you know what, I'm doing a podcast, and me and Savannah actually have the podcast together. Now, if that happens, then I need to know that this is Carrie's podcast. Savannah's a guest. So I'm grading Carrie. If Savannah also has a podcast and wants to, for whatever reason, wants to work with Carrie on that, then it can't be the same episode, right? It's going to be something different where Savannah does most of the work, Carrie does little. All right. So I've never tried to record this, but I've had a conversation with ChatGPT. I don't know if you guys have used the voice feature for ChatGPT. If you have,
Yes, I downloaded that today. A guy told me it's really good, and you have to pay $40 a month. So yeah,
right,
I haven't now.
you can mess around with the vocal feature for free as well, right? But I will also kind of show you how you can do some things. Like you can literally tell, let's say you set it up like this. You write the background on your client. You give that information to ChatGPT, and then you say, "Hey, Chat, I want to have a podcast conversation with you where you are my client, right? You are my client. You are the background that I gave you describes you, and I will ask you some questions, and I want you to answer based on whatever." I don't know how you will record that. I don't know how you record that unless someone is the outside recording you, right? But you can have a conversation that way, which is interesting in its own way. But we'll get into that when we go a little further. Right. So doing covers is pretty easy. You just record it. Podcasts get a little tricky, but they're also solo podcasts where it's just one person talking. Right? You can do that as well. Because it's most likely going to be on Instagram. If you want to make it a video podcast, then cool. Now, because it's going to be 3 to 5 minutes as a podcast, obviously there's more work attached to it than if it was a cover. Cover, you just gotta learn the words. If it's a podcast, you gotta write the words, right? You gotta come up with the concept, you gotta write the script, and you gotta sit down and record the script. Now, because I like to have level playing fields and not everyone here is a writer, then I will be showing you how you can leverage AI to get this information for you. You're not going to be a case where you just tell it to write it for you. I will help you go through the thinking behind the questions that you're going to ask so that you're still the creator. ChatGPT or Google Gemini just happens to be the writer. All right. So if you were thinking that I really want to do the podcast thing, but I don't know how to write a podcast, we got you. All right. And before we go on break, number 7, this is going to be your social media presence. The platform we're going to use is Instagram, and you gotta treat it like it's actually an Instagram page, right? So you're going to have content on there. You're going to be writing captions. If you want to use hashtags, you could put hashtags on there. You could add stories if you want to. Every post, you can leverage some of the other projects to create content for this. So let's say you were doing the podcast. Let's say you did a photography project. You are not going to take the 20 photos that you took and slap them on Instagram. That's not going to happen. All right. You can take maybe 2. So the 20 pictures that you submit for that project, if you took 25, then you could use those 5 for social. Or you can use them in different ways. So if you wrote a book and the book uses one of the 20 photos as the cover, you can put the picture of the book on Instagram saying, meet me at Barnes & Noble for live book signing. If you have the podcast, you can have a post that says, it might be a clip of the podcast, right? Give it a cover. Like we'll talk about design, we'll talk about creating covers and graphics and that sort of stuff using Canva. So you can do that. And you can create content around the podcast, right? So part of what I can also teach you is you wrote your podcast script. I can show you how to leverage AI to pull teachable what's the word, elements out of your script so that you could probably make something like a carousel based on the information that is in your script. All right, because as a manager you want to be able to also leverage the content that you're creating. You could make long form content, and then from different platforms that are out there, you'll be able to create like short clips, which are now reels, and you'll be able to use those reels to help promote the large form content. You could take the script from that and turn it into an article and post that somewhere else. All right. So those things is just taking the thinking, the strategic thinking, and allowing you to work smart for your clients while having massive impact. All right. So those are the 7 assignments. And once you finish the 7, once you choose 5 out of the 7, then later that's when you submit those 5 assignments all together as a whole. And that's going to be graded for 15%. Fui. All right. So we do have a recording on this, so you can always rewatch so that you have an understanding of what the assignments are. How do you guys feel? How are you guys feeling about these projects?
For me, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. I'm kind of scared and I'm kind of nervous and all in my head. But hoping that Mr. Seal is going to say, oh, I'm going to give you this in a template and then I'll help you and the team can work on it together, peer us up. All of those things to be said.
Right. Listen, once you do number 1, you have pretty much done all the projects. Once you do this, once you know the game plan, right?
Yeah. But it sounds like fun though. It's interesting. I didn't expect that this part would come so quickly in the program. So I am quite excited because these are areas that I lack in my own business. So I am grateful for the early opportunity for this. So thank you in advance.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, so it does definitely touch on marketing a little, but it doesn't go deep into the marketing, right? The benefit that I think that you guys will gain from this is just the strategic thinking. All right, so basically, this may be selfish of me, but each of you should come out of this particular class being the best client a graphic designer could ever want. Right? So you won. If you do number 1, you automatically know, like, I know how to find the backstory. So whether it is that you're selling soap or whatever, you'll be able to tell me, all right, cool, Kurt. So I have this soap brand and I created this brand because I remember back when I was young, we never really bought soap. I just found soap used to show up at the house. Come to find out, my grandmother used to be making the soap and she used to put XYZ in it. So that's where this recipe actually came from. And now it's It's not just soap now. It's like there's a Beijing thing. Like we got all these Beijing smells and scents and spices and stuff infused in this thing. So now it's not a product that you can't just go and buy this. Like you got to come to Barbados specifically to get this thing. So now that you have gotten older, looking to see what can be done, but on social media and all this stuff, you're now looking like, all right, how can I elevate what my grandmother has been doing for my house to now reach a wider audience? You're now able to tell that story. Because there's a great story to it, you might launch a podcast. You might launch a podcast that's centered around story-driven household brands. I don't know. All right. So exciting stuff ahead. But that's really how my mind works. Right. You guys are going to be able to unlock some strategic thinking. And then with experience, you're going to be able to apply that regardless of who you're working with, what the industry that they're in. You're going to be able to unlock some really, really good stuff. All right. So we're going to stop sharing right here. And we are off to break number 2. All right. Another 10-minute break. Who does that? All right. If you guys are back, go ahead and drop back in chat. Yes, sir. Good to have you. And we are live. All right. Where is this stuff? All right. What we are going to get into just briefly is we're going to just tap into the lovely world of design, right? Lovely world of artwork. Because if we're communicating with other people, we need to make sure that the messaging is going to come across in a way that's going to be attractive to them as well. And part of what helps is if the stuff is if it is attractive, and we're going to use some principles to help us with that, right? These are called the design principles, and there are 4 of them. The acronym for this is going to be C.R.A.P. Yes, crap. So C.R.A.P. is going to be the acronym for these 4 design principles. We are going to get into that in 1 second. What do I need to do? I need to share the screen. Share Zoom. Boom. All right, we are recording, and yes, let's go. So the 4 design principles, they are, first and foremost, contrast. All right. Repetition. Alignment. And proximity. Contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity. Those are the 4 principles of design. All right. So why is this going to be important for you is when you're working with these designers, these videographers, even if you're looking conceptually for your events, your person that you're working with, these 4 principles can work across the board. It's not just about the visual, it's about the concepts that you're going to go with. So contrast, off the bat, contrast in its most foundational sense is usually the relationships between 2 colors that pair as far away from each other as possible. So black and white, right? Black and white, contrasting colors. Green and red, contrasting colors, right? Purple and yellow, contrasting colors. So visually, you can do some interesting things if you have contrast in mind. Here, we are using right here, this is a food and wine festival, and they're showing food and wine literally in one image, right? This is a fork, but down in the prongs of the fork, you got 3 wine bottles. Cool. Very interesting. Here you have a book called Peter and the Wolf. You see a really, really big wolf right here. And depending on how creative your mind is, you may or may not see Peter. So if you see Peter, put a P in the chat. Do you see Peter on this book cover right here? Right? If you don't feel bad about it. Some people just don't see it, and that's completely fine. So, but this is Peter right here. This is the outline of Peter's face. Right? And if you've ever seen a magazine where there's been an Absolute ad, Absolute vodka, you know that they do this. They do this very, very often. Right? They're going to have the bottle as a silhouette, and they're going to have something happening on the outside of it. Right? But this is always so set up so that the scene feels like it makes sense, even though it's created to showcase the bottle. The scene still makes sense. It still feels real. But the white makes the bottle stand out. All right. Now, that is visual contrast. How you can use this for your client is in a conceptual way. Imagine, actually, have you guys ever seen a musician, right, that their vocal sounds really, really sweet? Their pitch is pretty much up there. Like, imagine a man, his pitch is really up there, kind of like Michael Jackson, but they are built like Teddy Swims. They are built like, I don't know, DJ Khaled, right? Plus, they got face tattoos going on as well. If this person walked on stage and you didn't hear them sing before, you might think that this person might be rapping, right? Just based on what you saw. However, you can use that to your advantage if you're strategic. You'd be like, you know what? No one's going to expect you to do this. So we're going to use contrast to help with your first impression. You're going to showcase one thing and you're going to do the opposite. It's contrast right there. You can use contrast in wardrobe. If it's in the performance setting, maybe the background is really, really light and this person is usually dark. Maybe the background is usually dark and the performer is usually light. Who knows? Those are other ways that you can use contrast. You can use contrast in sticking on music. You can use contrast in the music. This person is singing like a heavy metal artist on top of piano. Like, those two should not be going together. But depending on how the production is done, it could work. Why is contrast important? Contrast is usually used to separate, right? It's the quickest way to separate from the background, to separate from something else. So if you are holding an event, we spoke about this briefly at the beginning. If your event is a garden party and you know it's a breakfast party, and you know that most those usually happen in gardens, one way that you can separate yourself from the rest of the market is to have your event in a contrasting venue. We're not going to be in a garden. We're going to do something else. All right? Breakfast party on the water. 5 catamarans. I don't know. All right? So those are some ways that you can use contrast. All right? I'm going to speed through this a little bit so that Carrie gets some of the value before she has to go. Here's some more visual examples of contrast. All right? Again, with the black and white. The black and white draws your attention. You can see how the red, even though they're 2 tones of red, this outside stuff fades into the background and you kind of focus on what's going on here with this shape. But you're still able to subtly see 2001. Repetition. All right, repetition is you're using familiar elements over and over and over. All right, repetition shows up with chain restaurants. If you've seen C.R.A.P in St. Michael, chances are Shafat in another parish is going to look the same way. We're going to use the same colors. The layout is probably going to be similar. Repetition can show up in music, the way that you structure your songs, right? When you sit down and you start to analyze, you're like, why did this person always start with a bridge? They start with the bridge, they go into the first verse, chorus, second verse, another bridge, end of song. That's what they do, right? Every single song, regardless of what the content is, the structure of it is the same. That's repetition. How can this work for you as a brand manager, right? Let's say you have an artist, they come on stage again as a musician. Every single time that they perform, they wrap their microphone with a scarf. They take the scarf off their neck, wrap their microphone, and they start performing for the next 30 minutes. If they do that every single time, what do you think is going to happen the one day they get on stage and they do not have a scarf to wrap the microphone stand with? What do you think? How do you think the audience is going to feel about that? All right, while you're getting your answers together, there's going to
People
be
gonna
some,
miss the style. They're gonna miss it, man.
right? They're gonna miss it. Or if they don't realize what it is, they're gonna just feel weird. They'll be like, something, something's off. All right. And they might catch it and they were taking pictures or looking at videos of the event afterwards to post it on Instagram. And they're like, something about this video ain't look right. Yeah, it's a trademark in that way. But imagine this. Imagine you as the manager realize that people are looking for this scarf, right? And then you heard of this small, well, not small, this unknown Beijing Sea Island cotton scarf brand. And you decided, you know what? Let me see what's going on with them. You connect them with your artist. Now your artist is wearing their custom made scarf. They have you created a brand deal with them. You got your own line of scarves, limited edition. You know, come on stage with the scarf the next time. You wrap the microphone with it. As you are leaving the stage, guess what you do? You throw that scarf into the crowd. Now, this is your new thing. Your new thing is you throw away a scarf, one scarf, but you now have a merch table that has scarves. So you started out performing. You got people accustomed to seeing this scarf. You took it away. You then bring it back. Not only do you bring it back, you give them the opportunity to have their own scarf. They only realized that they wanted it after they found out that it was missing. You created that desire in them through repetition. All right, cool. So that's just one way. Like you can, and guys, as I tell you these things, you can also think about the projects. So imagine that you're thinking about the booth and you're thinking about the rationale for why you're doing things. You're like, sir, so I decided that in the booth there has to be X. Why is it there? Well, I wanted to use contrast for this particular purpose. I'd be like, oh, okay. All right, so Katrina paying attention in class and using my words against me. All right, cool, no problem. That's what you're looking for. All right, these are principles of design. Design is a solution to a problem. And we spoke about in the 5 E's, we spoke about identifying problems and what you can do with that. All right, so let's go on to align about some examples of repetition. These are repeating using bright colors and tall typography. This is white using white hands. Like all the hands are the same look, even though they're different. They're the same look. And then you got this random foot and this tentacle, right? Those things kind of stand out a bit. All right, some more examples. You got all of these black pointing fingers until you get here. Now, this is called 12 Angry Men. Is this time important? We don't know. But it would be interesting if this was a movie And this particular time made sense. What is that? 20 to 12? What if 20 to 12 was a significant point? You wouldn't know that until you watch the film. Coca-Cola, happiest day of 2013. What did they do? They put a bunch of Coke bottles side by side, and now it looks like a smile. How did they get it done? They repeated the Coke bottles. All right. Cool. Repetition. Next principle is alignment. Alignment is just the relationship between objects and that these objects end up in some sort of line with each other, right? If you use Microsoft Word, you know about alignment, left align, right align, centered. That's all alignment, right? But that creates visual structure, which allows our mind to be like, okay, everything is in its right place. When things are all over the place, it creates chaos. But that chaos can be done on purpose if there's strategy to it. All right, so alignment. All right, everything here is flush to the right. All the words start from the right, and that's one way to go. This, if you see a box here, I want you to know that there is no box. Okay, there's no box. It just looks like there's a box because of what these hands are doing. There's literally nothing here, but your brain is going to tell you there's a white box. There's a white box right here. Right? They're using the shapes on the inside of this to create something for you. All right? Cool. Now this flare right here says they are no aliens. Even though these are just 4 words, there's a whole story that's being told right here. An entire story is being told right here. And that story is one of abduction. Right? If you agree, put an agree in the chat. This story is abduction. What's being abducted? No is being abducted. And all they did, the only thing they did was put they are aliens on one line and take the word no and put it out of line. And then they added these lights, the abduction lights. Right? And that's alignment. When you know what the rules are, you can break them and create a whole other story. And that story could be more compelling just by doing this one little thing. So you're performing. When anytime you're on stage, you are center stage and your band is behind you. You might be on the right of the stage and the band is to the left of you. You might be on the left of the stage and the band is to the left of you. Maybe the band is in front of you and you're behind, but you're elevated, right? Your alignment can tell a story regardless of what you're doing. When you have your event and you're mapping out where things are, what happens when you enter? What's the first thing that people experience when they enter? I don't know. When you first enter, is there a relaxing booth, right? Or is it the DJ booth? Is it where you buy your tickets to get food? I don't know. But you can decide when you set up things that is a journey you want people to go on. All right. And all of that can come through your consideration for alignment. All right. Michael, go ahead.
Right. I was just gonna mention to you basically all this is just to show we the different forms that we could use when we doing our thing. That being said, you said that you'll be able to assist us a little bit for someone who doesn't really use Canva and all these kind of stuff that you're showing us now as well.
Yeah, like I'll be showing you how to use Canva. But I'm not going to be grading you like if you're a graphic designer, right? So we're going to be working on getting the thinking that you were doing executed. So if you were telling me if your vision for it was or I want this design to have everything centered, then we'll just try as much as possible to get everything centered. Right? Once the result is going in the direction of the vision that you tell me, then we're good. You're going to get a grade. All right. So that can come up in the, let's say, the social media project when you start to put some of that information in. All right. But everything, all the thinking and stuff is going to come from project one, assignment one. So when you get that done, we're going to start pulling out all of this other stuff. So we know when we are communicating, when we are sharing things, we know how we go about that, right? Just based on your client's story, we would know how we can use some of these principles to help, or if we don't use any of the principles at all. So hopefully that helps. All right. I don't expect you guys to get it in one semester because that's a lot to ask. But if you, like Michael, if you aren't able to get the artwork created, then but you understand what you were trying to achieve, like the thinking behind it, I would say that's a success. Right? Because you can always outsource what you need. All right, perfect. All right, last one, we have proximity. All right, proximity is a little similar to alignment, but this is the relationship between objects that are near to each other, right? Or the relationship between objects and the distance between each other. So, in an event standpoint, is there a reason why the bathrooms are a certain distance away from the food, which is a certain distance away from the stage? 100%. Where do people think about it in a strategic way beforehand? Yes, they do. Right? Did you know that? I don't know. But you can take that into consideration. Okay. When you're thinking of your booth and the things that are in the booth, where do you put certain things? Why are certain things grouped together? Right? Those are all questions that you can answer using the framework of proximity. So visually, we have these three examples right here. The one on the right is similar to what we saw with the bottle, but it's kind of like reverse because the background isn't white, the background is dark. So it doesn't stand out as much because this is dark and everything else is kind of dark, like a medium dark. So they almost blend into each other, but it does have a mystery to it. But then you're going to look and see what the faces are doing. All right. Does it tell a story? This right here, this clearly looks like a fish. And we have a message: keep the ocean clean. But along with seeing the fish and keep the ocean clean, we know that this is the skeleton of a fish, which tells us that the fish is dead. Now, as we look closer, we see a fish head, fish tail, a plastic cup, plastic bottle, a spoon, a fork, and a knife. Trash. So this dead fish, and we got some trash. We are seeing the result of not keeping the ocean clean while we're getting the message that tells us to keep the ocean clean. So this little image is telling us so much in a short space of time, all because the concept is strong enough.
Sir,
right?
is it spelled with two E's on purpose?
Pardon? Clean?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's probably someone's error. But I'm not too sure why they spelled that with two E's. I actually didn't even see that I had two E's.
Okay.
But good catch. I'm thinking that's a typo, whoever did that. But right. So that's that example of proximity. And then we just have those three things together: contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity, or C.R.A.P if you need help remembering. And oh crap, that's pretty smart. Yes. I'm a dad, so I'm allowed to be fantastic on occasion. All right. So, there's just one other thing, but Carrie, if you gotta go, you are pretty much good. All right. So those are the principles of design. We did go through a bunch. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna stop here. I will definitely stop here. So I will stop
One
sharing.
question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
I have what you call side notes. So I got contrast catches attention,
Okay,
repetition creates desire,
sure.
alignment makes everything feel in the right space, but I can't quite find a way apart from using the space between one thing from another to use for proximity. Could you help me refine that a bit for my notes?
Um, I mean, proximity, just because of what it is, we might not be able to stretch it out to work for multiple things, right? Like the other ones, they work as as a concept, they work. But proximity, like, is a relationship between like distance between objects, right? So, oh, I got it. I got it. So you know how we said you can have your client, their main thing is maybe music, right? The main thing is music, but they may also be interested in cooking, right? So, like our musician who targets the 25 to 30-year-old women who like to dance while they're in the kitchen, he himself might also be a foodie. Is food, how far away is food from music, right? Are they really far away, or or is there a place that they can actually live together? There are places that they live together, right? Um, in restaurants, you might get some easy listening background music. If you happen to be home cooking, however, you're going to play whatever you want, and that's going to cause a reaction. So, this person who likes food and does music found this place between those two. He took two things that maybe don't necessarily go together and decided to bring them together. So now he has this particular audience that he's speaking to. You, as the manager, now you saw what they did, and now you're trying to elevate that. You're like, you know what, we should probably do? We can have some experiential restaurants. Maybe we need to bring back one of those concept restaurants where you had the people that roller skate as they deliver stuff, and because it's that kind of rock and roll type of 60s, maybe. I can't remember the exact time frame that was, but you have that kind of vibe. It's kind of like Grease, if you ever seen that musical. And you kind of bring it back with that standpoint, so that now you started off with music, you ended up with dancing in the kitchen, which then took you to a restaurant, which allows for people to be dancing while there's music. These three things don't necessarily go together, but if you use proximity, conceptually, they live in the same solar system. So you could say proximity is finding a way to connect seemingly disconnected, I don't want to say things, but you're finding a way to connect things that could live on their own, but you're finding a way to bring them into their own universe and their own solar system. I don't know if you're able to simplify that to your note, but I think that That could work.
I just
I
want to.
think I might just put finding a way to connect two or more unrelated topics, subjects, things, anything of that nature to help, in terms of relaying the information, or recalling information another time.
Yeah. So you could you
All right.
can you could even put seemingly unrelated.
I like that one too. Yeah, seemingly unrelated. All right, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's where finding those connections is where you're going to find opportunity to do other things. All right. And if you have these four things, then when you're working with whoever you're working with, you can always use that as kind of like checkpoints. You're like, all right, well, let's get down to proximity to say, okay, I know that we are doing this right here, but is there anything that we can pull into this space to set it apart? Like people are not going to expect to see this, but is there a way that we can pull it in there? Someone else was saying sir just now. Someone else trying to get my attention? Yes.
I was, I was asking you basically, like I was gonna read what I had, but you kind of said it, so I was just making sure that I understood what you said.
Okay. All right. No problem. Yeah. So I just take these three things because honestly, these four things were only supposed to be about like artwork and the relationship of things on the screen. Okay. That's what they were for. But because we can find some depth to them, that in itself could set you guys apart. Because if you think about this right now, I don't know how many people that are managing artists or managing events that are going to be thinking about contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity the way that you eight could potentially think about these four things. And this is just day one. Jeez. You got 3 more years to play this. All right. So, with that being said, and 4 minutes left on the clock, ladies and gentlemen, we are done for digital communication and design for today, the 11th of September, 2025. It's been a plum pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege to serve you. Sorry, I can't say that with a straight face. I'm sorry. All right. We are definitely done here.